There are quite a few impressive shooting prospects in the 2026 NBA draft. None are as audacious as Louisville freshman Mikel Brown Jr., who will routinely pull and hit shots from the parking lot when defenses aren't set right here. I'm not sure what the pick and roll coverage here. It looks like a switch or a high show, but yeah, Brown has NBA range and he is going to pull, and he has the kind of touch and just general like fluidity and elasticity to get shots off like this over Cameron Boozer. I really do believe like just confidence and audacity and taking these kind of shots is a good example of like high level shooting, a good heuristic for it. And Brown's numbers his last AAU season were incredible, like 10 per 100 possessions or more, 85% from the line, incredible versatility like we said on and off ball, and we're going to get to that more. And the shooting is definitely the foundation of Brown's case as a prospect. Incredible sidestep to the right there. That's obviously difficult for righty shooters. And once again, the fact that you have to guard him out to beyond NBA range changes a lot for the defense, and it makes him a really difficult puzzle for defenses to solve. And I'm excited to dive more into Brown as a prospect. Would really appreciate likes, comments, subs on the video. Let's get to, let's say 100 likes, and I'll do what the top comment wants in terms of prospect videos. But let's get into this. And as impressive as he is as a pull-up shooter, I think Brown might be even more special as an off-ball shooter, where the movement stuff is crazy with him. Just twisting and quickly adjusting and setting himself into these shots off of flare screens, deep pin downs. And again, like this is not usually a shot you have to defend, but Brown is pulling from the parking lot, and yeah, he's just a monster. His team will set up like screens and plays for him. Little floppy action here where Brown can kind of choose which way he wants to go. And he wants to go right here with little floppy action. He can go this way off of two screens. He can go this way off of a screen. And he goes this way. He bumps Caden Boozer right there. Fly-by pump fake, sidestep free. Like, he is a dynamic on and off ball shooter, and the combination of being able to use your handle as an off ball shooter is really nice. But of course, he can just come off pin downs, flare screens. He is a prolific relocator off of drives, which we'll talk plenty about his drivings. Brown's just gonna wait, and he's gonna come off a little pin right here, and he's gonna nail another movement three. Again, shooting to his right. That's a very difficult shot. Like, it's not easy to shoot going right for righty players, and sometimes the shot selection isn't always the best. You know, shot clock at 25, pull a deep step back three over a pretty solid or just, you know, a deep pull up three over a pretty solid contest. Like, but again, he was like the heliocentric creator for his DME team. So these shots, like I've talked plenty about this in the past, I don't think the shot selection for these high leverage on ball creators, especially ones like Brown who are great passers, is a huge issue. And the fact that he's even doing stuff like this, where he's just setting a quick ghost screen and then pulling from, you know, well beyond and almost making those shots, is indicative of like high level shooting tape. And just based on extrapolating his AAU numbers, which, you know, we're taking free throw we're throwing out percentage because that's not stable. We're just taking free throw percent and 3-point volume. Like, it's a ton of elite shooting players, and I would expect Brown to join this group of the elite guard shooters. I don't know if he's Trey Johnson level, but like, you know, Luke Kennard, McCain's a really good comparison as a shooter as well. Like, he is that level as a shooter and an off-ball mover. And I think that, like, it's more than just the movement shooting. It's his off-ball shooting, like, has gravity, and he's such a good closeout attacker. You can get to that little lefty floater. His touch with both hands, absolutely phenomenal. And Brown, of course, uses that closeout attacking and that off-ball gravity. Once again, gets a pump fake to jump, drives into the paint. He's going to hop off of 2 feet and kick out to three. His passing blends with his shooting so well, and I think that's like my favorite application of his like playmaking and shooting working together are honestly in his off-ball game and his off-ball driving, where he can set up deep, and his handle is just so phenomenal, where he can take like a dribble. Most young players pick up their dribble right here, but Brown takes one more dribble, hop steps off of 2 feet, and then explodes and finishes. And it really does seem like Brown's MO is to blow by players and spray out for paint touches. Once again, notice that the defense pressing up on Brown because he is such a dangerous shooter. He blows by with his good burst and first steps, and then he's just going to kick it out to the corner for a wide open three. So he's consistently, like we said, cracking the defense, and looking for shooters. And, usually I can kind of guesstimate a player's mentality, but with Brown, I was actually able to interview Brown for Sportskeeda earlier this year, and I got to talk to him about some of this stuff and talk to him about the off-ball movement. He really does value that. He watches Steph Curry, he watches the constant movement, and he knows that increases your value playing off-ball as other talents. And another thing that he does intentionally do are generate these paint touches. He said we have to get as many paint touches as possible. If you get paint touches, the defense collapses and you can get your teammates open shots. And we've seen plenty of examples of that on the film already. But Brown is also a great layup passer, as a bunch of passing virtuosos are. And I'm trying to figure out what level of passer is Brown. Is he in the Trae Young level? Is he Cade Cunningham? Is he Lonzo Ball level passer? He makes some ridiculous reads here, driving against the double team and just wrapping the ball to the middle for a nice little jump shot in the center of the paint right there. And he just has this real flair and creative passing gene that I love to watch, that really does remind you of guys like LaMelo and Lonzo and Halliburton, where he's going to audible on a pull-up three, notice a wide open teammate, and just throw it there, and his man ends up getting a nice post fadeaway. But that's all because Brown can set him up. And he blends ball handling and playmaking really well. And he's got a really smooth, quick trigger on the pocket pass. And he's great at using re-screens. We're going to get a ball screen to the left right here. The defense goes over. So we're just going to get another ball screen to the right. Pocket pass in a pretty tight window. And his roller gets downhill. Beautiful rejection right here. Just smooth pick and roll operation again. We see they're guarding him high up because he's a shooter. Brown notices the space is this way, right? So he's just gonna kind of push the defender this way with a quick step behind the back. Another pretty tight window here to throw that pocket pass into, and that his teammate on the roll gets a foul. He was so sick in the McDonald's game, and I do think these all-star games are getting more competitive. It's still not a crazy important data sample, but he was incredible in this game, diming up everybody. Again, we see his ability to throw these tight window pocket passes where he can hit his roller. AJ DeBanza, man, that would be cool to see them playing together one day, maybe in the league. But yeah, clearly just supremely skilled with the ball, and that's a valuable trait to have. Again, we see him rejecting to the left right here. He's pretty good at playing off of 2 feet, which I like. He doesn't always do it, but I do think, for being a young guard, he is impressive at just hop stepping, using his off arm. Again, he has nice leverage. He's below the defender's shoulder to create space, which I talked about. And then he has great vision finding the cutter right there for a nice little reverse layup. When he drives, he is for sure looking to pass. Like we said, obviously the kickouts are great, but oh my God, these layup passes are better. Ridiculous jump pass here, hanging in the air. There's a tiny window to wrap this into, and he hits it, and this guy finishes. And, credit to his man for finishing that play right there. But Brown just has this ability to create space, get downhill, break the teeth of the defense. Euro step right here, no look. His eyes are going this way, the ball is going this way. That's a beautiful play from Brown. So especially out of pick and rolls against teams that play drop coverage, and occasionally in isolation, Brown can get downhill and just make these late adjustments. I love these reads on a fly where it's not like a set pick and roll read. He's live reading help as I like this little high pickup. He's using his long strides to get to the paint. Look how long his strides are again, from here to here, and then from here, the free throw line, all the way down here. And then Brown just lobs it up at the last second. Only once he notices Jaden Toombs committing to him or going to block the shot. So just really good feel and awareness. And Mikel was incredible in the FIBA U19 World Cup. He really should have been MVP. I've talked about on this channel how I don't value this sample a ton in terms of projecting forward. It's just a little inconsistent in terms of historical results, but he is such a sick playmaker and was doing the same things that he always does, right? This is what you want to see from your top prospects like Mikel. dominance in the places where they should dominate, and that is exactly what he did, like the All-Star games, like all of that, getting downhill, using his live dribble passing gene. He's so good at that. But I think Mikel's best passes honestly might be his skip passes. He has that sixth sense for finding those, and he's so good at using his left hand. That was a left-handed pass, that last one. Left-handed dime of an outlet pass down the Debanso. Oh my goodness, that was filthy. I think I accidentally had this skip in twice, but yeah, I believe this was with his left hand. Yeah, it looks like, or it's kind of a two-handed pass actually. But still, going from left to right, a lot of right-handed players can't do this. I mean, this is the James Harden special, right? You force him right, he can't make this left to right skip pass. But Brown has the talent to do that. So blending shooting and passing, just really dangerous combination of skills, especially when Brown, like we said, similarly how I said I value the audacity in terms of shooting, I definitely value that in terms of playmaking as well. I don't think I did I really just show that back to back? Damn, I am slacking. Brown is a great skip passer from the post, and like we said, his transition from dribble to pass or dribble to shot is so fast that even if he's not making the perfect decisions or his accuracy is perfect, he's like a quick, like, throwing on the run quarterback, where he can just get this ball out through a defender's arms, bounces right to his teammate, who gets a pretty good look for a shot at three right there. So his blend of like being able to crack the defense and create layup passes, but also being a legitimately excellent skip passer, just always looking to, once again, no look right here, but he's trying to advance the ball out to his man for a three, which I believe ends up going in. No, it doesn't. But yeah, Brown is an absurd passer, and he did turn the ball over a decent amount. Like, I think he had a negative assist to turnover ratio in the half court. It was positive overall in this AAU season, but a lot of his turnovers, I think, were typical stuff that I've talked about on the channel that doesn't really worry me. He's trying to make a good pass right here over the top of the defense. He just airmails a little bit, and he knows it, right? So I don't really think that's a big issue, and he has some ball control stuff to clean up, as do almost every, young point guard, especially ones who are like tall and lanky. Brown is legit like 6'3" in shoes, I think, maybe 6'4", and he looks pretty long too, and sometimes guys can dig in and kind of take the ball away. But my main concern with Mikel Brown, and why I've like in the past been kind of uncertain about him as like a top 4 or 5 prospect in this class, is the driving and the rim finishing and the advantage creation. His numbers in AAU were honestly pretty good, like decent foul drawing, actually quite good foul drawing. I think 38% free throw rate, decent half-court rim rates, but there are just times where he struggles to get downhill, because Brown is quick and he has an excellent handle, so he can change speeds and change directions, but he does settle for a lot of tough shots. He's jumping really early off of 2 feet here, trying to hang in the air and hit that difficult shot. I think some of it is shot selection. I think some of it is athleticism, especially vertically. He struggles to explode off of 2 feet in traffic, as we're going to see right here, but sometimes it looks like he's driving a little bit like without a purpose, right? Just snaking to the right, gonna end up losing the ball right there. Ball control turnovers, I don't think, are generally super problematic in terms of projection. Brown, because he's not super strong yet, I think, or like the burst isn't crazy, a lot of his drives are really rounded, where ideally you want to just flatten this angle right here, go straight into the paint, but because he can't, lower his shoulder and just drive through this defender, I don't know if he can or he doesn't. He's going more like east-west here, you see? So the drive is more rounded. That's just kind of the way I think about it. Nice job getting up for his own offensive rebound right there. Brown just would struggle to create advantages at times without ball screens, or if like the ball screen isn't very effective and the point of attack defender is still sitting right on him, he can struggle and spin out and turn over. And I do have questions about teams that switch or play like aggressive pick and roll coverages. When Brown isn't winning as a passer, right, he gets downhill right here, he takes off from outside of the paint and tries to like flip up a tough scoop shot, and I do think he can clean up some of like the shot selection stuff, but again, we see the rounded drive path instead of just straight down into the paint. I think, like I said, because of some of the maybe ability to generate leverage and power in terms of his strength and lower body. I don't know why I had that skip pass again right there, but obviously he's only 19 years old. he's going to get stronger. So I think you can potentially project him to improve there. But the concerning stuff for me is like his rim aversion at times. I think he definitely understands his limitations, right? He has Malachi Moreno, another guy I really like, on a switch right here, and he creates an advantage. He does a good job blowing by, using this little hesitation, hang dribble, change of pace. But instead of driving into the paint, trying to draw a foul, go up, he stops, pivots, and tries a really difficult lefty hook fadeaway that he definitely can make. Mikel can make that shot. I've seen him make that shot. Or this shot where he stops on a dime and you know, hits a little or tries a little leaner, but he blows right by this defender. And one more dribble, you either go up or you draw this defender in and you lay it down, or you kick it out, because Mikel is a brilliant lay down and kick out passer. But I do, you know, I wonder about his approach and sometimes getting deep into the paint on drives, especially against, you know, tighter, more set defenses. But I do think it's encouraging that he likes to be physical and try, even if it doesn't always work. Like, he ends up getting blocked here, but Mikel does create a good amount of space just using his shoulder. Again, we see the great leverage here, getting lower than the defender, powering through to drive him back, and that's probably... Actually, does he get blocked? I can't really tell. But anyways, my point is that I think his physicality is impressive on a lot of these drives. And I like that he's able to, you know, use the open floor and use his great handle to get downhill and try some pretty tough finishes. This is another one where, like, I wish he would have probably taken one more dribble like we've seen him do before, because he can make this finish, hanging in the air, scooping it in with the left hand. But like we said, he just doesn't have a ton of vertical pop off of two. And his like jumping technique, I wonder about that, because his feet like slap together right there. There's probably some like low hanging fruit in terms of just like physical development and like biomechanics and stuff. But he is really bursty, even if he struggles to finish these at times, where I don't think Brown is going to have so much trouble getting into the paint. Against like great defenders in isolation, I think there can be issues, but if the spacing is good, he can blow by a lot of players, especially at the college level. Just isn't able to finish there over Toombs, where I like him being aggressive and challenging him, but this is just a really good defense, honestly. Brown isn't able to finish there. But he does have a really nice bag of like footwork at the rim. Here he goes against Darren Peterson. Initially uses this hesitation and burst to get a step. That's a great advantage created right here. And then this like slow, long step right here to force Peterson to jump and like snake by him. He just can't finish the shot. But, like, that is beautiful downhill creations. And there are some flashes of the blow by burst getting him all the way to the basket. Again, we see him playing off 2 feet. I love that habit. I really do appreciate Brown's ability and, you know, willingness to continually play off 2 feet, have that stable base. And we see so many offhand finishes because he's such a great ambidextrous player, where he can drive to his left. They're kind of shading him this way, right? But this is where Brown does a great job using his off arm, and we talked about the leverage. I do think he's generally very good at getting leverage on defenders. He's not always perfect, as I said, but I think he is quite good at it, and it helps him make up for some of the current strength deficits. And this is another one where we just see the handle and the change of pace on display, where he's gonna like hesitate, drive, and accelerate again, and then finish with his left hand once again off of 2 feet. I love this like little stutter in the middle of the drive to make the defender think, and then he gets to his 2 feet and finishes. Another super tough shot at the rim, but one that Mikel is totally capable of making. And oh my goodness, beautiful hesitation here. And like I said, I think he is absolutely going to fry like deep drop coverage in college and in the league, because he is a crazy pull-up shooter, and this quick change of pace right here gets him downhill in a beautiful, like, was that a right-handed? No, it's a left-handed finish, like scooping it in right there. Absolutely gorgeous, the kind of stuff that Mikel can pull. And he really might just have like that level of special touch where he can make up for some of the athletic limitations, like a player like a Trey or LaMelo or Halliburton, guys like that do. I do think that's within the realm of possibility for Brown, and the tough shot making flashes are all over the tape. This is another great example of him obviously hitting the fadeaway, but another example of Brown generating leverage to get past the defender, and oh my God, just a beautiful fadeaway. It's a tough shot, and he does settle. He doesn't, not necessarily settle, but just, he takes a lot of tough shots, and that does worry me to some extent. But the fact that he makes them is good, and I'm really curious to see what his shot diet it looks like next year at Louisville, playing next to Adrian Woolley and Conwell and McNeely, like great guards. So I really do think he's going to embrace the off-ball role and showcase that part of his game, which I don't think is a bad thing at all. And I'm trying to kind of figure out whether I think Mikel is like a long-term on-ball initiator or more of like a combo, toggle between on and off ball. One more example of his incredible handle right here. The fact that he doesn't have like the most incredible blow by burst or power, he makes up for it by being able to keep his dribble alive, keep probing, work to his spot. Great balance right here, staying on his feet, driving through and hitting that beautiful floater. So there's plenty of avenues I can imagine Mikel, and this is an offense video. I don't want to make a super long video and talk about defense, but some of the flashes are impressive. He absolutely spiked that ball away from Caden Boozer. There's a nice flash of some vertical ability, and he was actually pretty willing to contest and rotate at the rim in some of the games I watched. He didn't have like crazy block numbers or anything, and he is quick. His hands are good, so I think there's plenty of potential in defense as well. I don't know if Mikel projects as like a star on the defensive end, but I definitely don't think he projects as like a huge negative. And just extrapolating his stats to what I think they could look like in college: an assist rate over 20, a steal rate over 2. He gets a lot of steals historically. The volume, as we talked about, the free throw we talked about. Freshman, sophomore, because he is a bit older as a freshman. He's gonna be 20 on draft night and 6'3" or taller. And there's some interesting names here, like at the high end. I think, Cade, PG, they're too tall. I should have had a height cutoff. But like Tyrese Halliburton is probably like, is a player I was honestly lower on because of I worried about his advantage creation. Trey Mann is an interesting name who, wasn't an incredible athlete, but incredible handle, awesome shot maker. I think Brown is probably a more scalable, better off-ball player. Kobe White is another one that, I think there's shades. I think Lonzo as well. Just these jittery, great ball handling guards who I think Brown is a better passer than White, of course. Probably not the level of Halliburton. That wouldn't be a really fair thing to ascribe. But the big swing factor for me for Mikel at Louisville is going to be the driving, the rim frequency, the foul drawing. What does he look like as a downhill advantage creator? It's really hard to be like just like a point guard-sized initiator without that component. If he has it, I'm open to him being like the 4th best guy in this draft, clearly. I doubt he's going to get to like into my top 3 just because that group is so insane. That's, no shade to Brown at all. But I've moved up on him a little bit watching this tape for this video. I think I had him like 8th in my big board, and I'd probably move him up to like 5th or 6th at this point, honestly. I think I undersold his ability to get downhill and finish at the rim just a little bit. Like, I do have concerns, right, about the vertical pop and some of the one-on-one advantage creation. But, man, when he can just, like, run off of screens all the time, and I'd love to see him just be used in, like, a constant motion role where he's coming off of handoffs and, of course, running pick and rolls as well. He's great at that. The offensive versatility makes me think that he has real star potential on that end. So I'm going to end up being high on Brown. Even if I think some people are higher than me, I definitely wouldn't put him in the category of the top 3. I just think that's an insanely high bar. But yeah, I think Brown has a chance to be a star level offensive player. He just has that rare combination of shooting and playmaking that tends to work out in the NBA. It's a very valuable combination of skills, and Brown has both at an extremely high level. And he's just like I said at the top, one of the most fun players to watch in this class, in my opinion. And I'm stoked to watch that Louisville team. But anyways, thanks y'all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.